Hi and welcome to another episode of Unsolved Crimes with me, Paul Ragsdale. It's been a while, I know. In this brand new episode, we take a look at Jessie Earl, the quiet place on the cliffs. Beachy Head was Jessie Earl's refuge. She liked the wind there, the long views across the sea, sense of space and solitude. When life felt loud, Jessie walked the cliff tops with a book tucked under her arm, reading among the grass and chalk. It was where she felt most herself. It would also be where she died. Jessie was 22 years old in the spring of 1980. Born in December 1952, she was studying art in Eastbourne and was known to her family as strong-willed, thoughtful and fiercely independent. She loved writing, nature and being alone outdoors, something that never worried her parents. Jessie was capable, curious, and close to her family. She never disappeared without saying where she was going. On Thursday, the 15th of May 1980, Jessie phoned home from a seaside phone box in Eastbourne. It was a short, ordinary call. She told her mum she would see her the next day. She never arrived. At first, her parents weren't alarmed. Jessie was an adult. Plans change. What unsettled them was the silence. Jessie always called if something came up. By Saturday, concern turned into dread. Valerie Earl took the train to Eastbourne and went straight to her daughter's bedsit in Upton Gardens. The moment she stepped inside, she felt it. That instinctive, terrible sense that something was wrong. Dirty dishes were still on the table. Jessie's reading glasses and a book lay on the floor. Her purse was on the bed, and it looked as if Jessie had stepped out briefly, expecting to return, but she never did. Friends hadn't seen her since Wednesday. Her diary offered no clue. Jessie was officially missing. Police dogs were brought in, officers searched the bedsit, questioned friends, and distributed missing person posters across the town. Weeks passed with no sign of Jessie. A helicopter equipped with thermal imaging scanned the South Downs. Nothing appeared. Eventually the search slowed, resources were redirected, and Jessie's parents refused to accept that this was the end. They went public. They appealed on national television. They pleaded for information, anything that might explain where their daughter had gone. But years passed. 9 years later, in 1989, nearly a decade after Jessie vanished, chance intervened. An 8-year-old girl was flying a kite on Beachy Head when it slipped from her hands and vanished into thick undergrowth. Her dad pushed through the bushes to retrieve it, but instead he found human remains. The skeleton belonged to Jessie Earl. She was lying close to a tree, concealed by vegetation. There were no clothes, no belonging, only a single item, a bra tied around her wrists. Her watch, jewellery, handbag and inhaler were gone. Forensic examination could establish little. Jessie had died where she was found, but how and when could not be determined with certainty. The area around her remains was carefully excavated. Volunteers searched the cliffs with metal detectors. Objects were found, but none led to answers. 4 months later, a coroner returned an open verdict, stating there was insufficient evidence to determine a cause of death. To Jessie's parents, the decision was incomprehensible. The daughter had been found naked, bound, alone in the undergrowth. To them, there was no mystery. Jessie had been murdered. Yet because her death was not officially classified as a homicide, the case stalled. In 1997, key forensic evidence, including the bra used to bind her wrists, was destroyed. In 2000, Sussex police quietly changed their position. After reviewing the case, detectives announced they believed Jessie Earl had been killed. A murder investigation was finally opened, but it was too late. The evidence could have answered critical questions no longer existed. Advances in DNA testing could not be applied. Investigators later acknowledged that this loss severely damaged the case. In the late 2000s, police began re-examining cold cases linked to a convicted killer, Peter Tobin. Tobin was already serving time for murder. He was a serial sex offender known for violent, opportunistic attacks. Police launched Operation Anagram to trace his movements and identify possible victims. Jessie's case stood out. Tobin had lived in the Eastbourne area in 1980. Jessie matched the profile of his victims, and there were unsettling parallels. Jessie had once told her mum about a middle-aged Scottish man she encountered whilst walking on Beachy Head. The conversation had stayed with her. "I wish men would be prepared to be just friends," she said. Tobin was Scottish. He'd worked locally, possibly as a handyman at a nearby church, and after Jessie's remains were discovered in 1989, Tobin abruptly moved his family hundreds of miles away, behaviour consistent with how he fled other crime scenes. In one confirmed murder, Tobin had bound a victim's hands with her bra. Still, without physical evidence, police could not prove his involvement. No DNA link could be established. Jessie's case was not the only one. In 1988, 18-year-old Louise Kay disappeared after telling friends she planned to sleep in her car on Beachy Head. Neither she nor her distinctive car was ever found. Tobin was living in Eastbourne at the time. Like Jessie, Louise had mentioned meeting a Scottish man shortly after she vanished. Investigators believed the two cases were connected. Some were convinced Tobin killed them both. No charges have ever been brought. Decades later, Jessie's parents never stopped fighting. In 2020, they asked for a new inquest. They argued that their daughter's death had been misunderstood from the beginning and that the truth had been buried alongside her. In May 2022, more than 40 years after Jessie disappeared, a coroner finally said the words her family had waited decades to hear. Jessie Earl had been unlawfully killed. The inquest concluded she had likely been tied to a tree and may have been sexually assaulted. The original investigation was heavily criticised, and the coroner stated that Jessie's parents had suffered substantial injustice. Sussex police acknowledged historic failures and confirmed the case remains open. The cliffs still stand above the sea, windswept and quiet. People walk there every day, unaware what lies beneath the grass and chalk. Jessie once walked there for peace. Now her story remains unfinished, unanswered, waiting. So was it Tobin that committed the crimes? Or do you think it was someone else? As always, please drop your thoughts in the comments section. Like, share and subscribe so you never miss any of our videos. Until next time, stay safe